As President Trump heads home this weekend after a controversial speech to NATO allies in Brussels, the number 2 Democrat in the House announced Friday that he will travel to Europe next week to reaffirm the importance of America and APO's relationship with those allies and reassure them that the U.S. has their back. Representative Steny Hoyer, D. Maryland, did not mention Trump in his announcement Friday, but Hoyer was very critical Thursday of the President and APO's speech at the North Atlantic Treaty Organization headquarters in Brussels on Thursday. During that speech, which was not well received by the Europeans, Trump did not specifically endorse a core tenet of the alliance and APO's treaty that countries will treat an attack on one NATO member as an attack on all. Instead, the president chastised European allies for failing to pay their fair share to the alliance. The White House has declared the visit a success, citing pledges from NATO countries to increase their defense spending. And the President of the United States should not be lecturing our closest and most steadfast allies, but reaffirming our common defense and our commitment to stand with them, and Hoyer said in a statement. And I was appalled by his condescending remarks to NATO leaders today, which were an embarrassment for our country. President Trump's call for NATO members to pay for common defense, as though the NATO alliance were a transactional relationship, along with his repeated insistence on banning immigration, risk undermining the alliance and the principles for which it stands. And Hoyer is traveling to Denmark, Belgium, Lithuania and Estonia and to reaffirm the importance of the United States' relationship with NATO member countries in light of Russia's interference across Europe and as we confront the rising threat of terrorism. And Hoyer was referring to our USSIA and APO's interference in the recent election in France and to its military incursions into the Ukraine. And as Russia continues its nefarious activities and as we've seen terrorist attacks across the continent, I believe it is critical to reassure our European allies that we stand with them, said Hoyer, who serves as the Democratic whip. And in my meetings with heads of state and cabinet officials, I will convey the support of the U.S. Congress as we combat these threats together. And in Copenhagen, Hoyer will meet with Danish Defense Minister Claus Hjort Frederiksen, former NATO Secretary-General Anders Fogh Rasmussen and Prime Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen. He will then travel to Brussels, where he will meet with officials at the U.S. mission at NATO headquarters and with European parliamentarians at the European Parliament. Hoyer also will meet with leaders in Lithuania and Estonia